Hello and welcome to the review of the Southampton vs Spurs game. Now, as you can see, I got some shit right next to me, so I'm going to be adding more to these. This was just sort of there for now. I had them created for my watch long, so I will be improving these and making them better and whatnot, but I just chucked them on in the last 15 minutes just to make it look a bit better. So I am going to be focusing on improving these sort of videos, and I do have a nice gap of 2 weeks, basically, between the next game. Or this game and the next game. So the next time you see a preview, hopefully it'll look a lot better. But let's talk about the game. So Southampton come from behind. Can you believe it? I still can't. The next day, I cannot believe we've come back from 3-1 down against Spurs. And we all know Spurs, they can capitulate. They do have that in their DNA. But us to score 3 goals in a game, it's uncalled for. It's unheard of. And it really typifies Spurs going up 1-0 going into the second half, conceding within 30 seconds or 40 seconds or however long it was. That's outrageously bad. That is really poor from Spurs. And obviously we took advantage of that good. And obviously Kane being Kane has to score against us. We're not allowed to ever have a game where Kane doesn't score against us. So Kane scores, Perisic scores, and you're just thinking, that's GG. I even said, I think I streamed, I was like, yeah, it's game over. I mean, we're not going to score 3, are we? And then we proceeded to score 3, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, so with that, I think we did unbelievably well to sort of keep our heads up, right? To sort of keep going, because, I mean, with the form we've been in, yes, we've improved a little bit, but in general, we've been pretty poor. We're bottom of the table for a reason, and, you know, down 3-1 to a top 4 side, you could say, you got to be thinking, we're not going to get this. We've scored 3 goals in the last 6 games or 5 games. We're not going to score 3. And, well, we somehow did, thanks to a last-minute penalty from James Ward-Prowse, or last couple minutes from James Ward-Prowse, which, in my opinion, wasn't a penalty. I said it as I saw it. I just thought barely any contact. But, you know, those sort of decisions happen all the time where it's sort of just like you look at it like it's not a penalty, and then the next week it'll be given as something else, and the next week it'll be given as something else. It's like there is no consistency, but I do feel like that's not a penalty. And I think most time it wouldn't be given a penalty. I think those sort of calls go down to the referee's decision rather than the VAR's decision. Because I think in those times, it's like the ref's going, yep, that's a penalty. And VAR's gone, well, there is contact, so I guess you're not 100% wrong. And it's like, yeah, sweet. But then if it's the other way where it's like, oh, VAR looks at it and he hasn't given a penalty, they'd probably be like, nah, it's barely any contact, so it's fine. You know, it's one of those ones where it's like it literally is dependent on the referee and what he's given, and he's gone our way, which is nice, I guess. But I don't believe it's penalty. I just want to say that there. But in terms of the game, Theo Walcott I think is man of the match. At the time, people were asking me what I thought, and I had no trouble finding anyone else but Theo Walcott. I was like, yeah, Ward-Prowse did all right. You know, obviously Bella Kotchap and Bednarak didn't last very long. Walker-Peters was a little bit quiet. You know, Bazunu, he made a couple good saves, but, you know, wasn't loaded, I guess, with shots. And I was thinking, okay, Adams, yeah, scored, but did he do much else? Not particularly. But then Theo Walcott, golden assist, crucial golden assist, one straight after the half. And then obviously the goal from the Mara knockdown. And it was crucial. He was instrumental in turning this around for us. So, yeah, Walcott being man of the match. Well, I don't know if he actually got man of the match. I don't actually know who won that. But for me personally, in my opinion, matters more than anything else, right? So, yeah, I'd say Walcott man of the match. I think we did pretty good. I did think the first half was a bit lackluster from both teams. I think it's mostly probably because of the injuries. You know, both teams getting 2 injuries pretty early on. I'm not exactly sure how Bednarak or Bella Kotchap are doing. I know Bella Kotchap was shoulder. Bednarak broke his rib, so I don't know what recovery time that is. Obviously, we do have 2 weeks before our next game, so I don't think you'd recover from broken ribs within 2 weeks. Maybe Bella Kotchap, I don't exactly know the extent of the injury. I haven't actually looked at it. But yeah, so I think like that disrupted the first half. But I have to say, both teams were pretty poor. Let's be completely honest. Both teams were pretty lackluster, especially in that first half. And we tried a 2-2-2, similar to what we do after around half noodle. It's a 4-4-2 out of position, 4-2-2 in position. But when you have Elyounoussi picking up those spaces, I think Stuart Armstrong, he's just not the player he was last year and the year before. I think he's really dropped off. And obviously Elyounoussi provides absolutely zero anything in any department. So, yeah, I don't think that particularly worked, but then in the second half, obviously, something clicked a little bit at the start. but obviously mostly at the end of the game. And Sulemana came off the bench and was explosive. Now, I don't particularly understand this thing I've been hearing about, he's the new Gineppo. Have you watched him? He is absolutely nothing like Gineppo. You know, you're thinking watching like a Gineppo, like how does he beat him? He's falling over himself, right? Sulemana's not that at all. He knows exactly what he's doing and how he's going to do it. And the amount of times he's beat players, not just in this game, but in general, is fantastic. It's just the end product. And that's not his fault particularly. You know, if he beats a player, the fullback, and he's running him behind, and then he looks up and goes, fuck me, there's no one there. I mean, that's not his fault. That's the structure of a team's fault. And that comes down to our creativity, our style of play, the way we want to attack, which we don't particularly have, and I said that in the preview to the Spurs game. But I do have to say, Sulemana did impress me a lot. Him and Walcott may have to be our starting wingers for the rest of the season. I think Walcott against United was good. I was surprised he didn't play against Brentford, and then against obviously Spurs, he was our best attacker basically. So yeah, I think Walcott surprised a lot of people, and that's good to see. It's good to see because I prefer watching him over Alanusi, that's for sure. But yeah, moving on to Villa game. Still got 2 weeks before that game, so we have plenty of time to sort out some things, hopefully attacking wise. And as you can see, wrong way. No, fucking wait. This way. Yes, I'm stupid apparently. This way, you could see we're on 23 points. We're currently, 2 points in relegation. West Ham do have 2 games in hand, which is a massive bonus for them. So we're not exactly over, as we've said many times. The league isn't done. We're not relegated 100%, but we do have a tough run. And as you can see, we have West Ham next. Huge. Massive game. That's a must win. Then we have City, which is sort of like, at home, we could potentially get something, but if they're going to be super serious about a title race, that may be an extremely difficult game to get anything in. And then obviously Palace at home, another massive game. They're going to be falling down the table after getting rid of Patrick Vieira, and they've sort of been in a really dry patch of points and goals in this year so far. I think they've, scored only like a couple goals this entire year so far, and 3 months in. That's ridiculous, really. And I don't know who they're going to sign. Apparently Roy Hodgson, maybe? Oh, God. Who knows? And then we have Arsenal away, which is very difficult game. Extremely difficult game. And so basically we have 2 games upcoming. Obviously I have the Tottenham game there because I didn't fucking bother editing it yet. We have City and Arsenal, which are basically games that we can't expect to get anything from because those two are really have to win every game to win the title. And obviously we have 2 massive games against Bournemouth and West Ham, which are the huge ones. But also Palace is another massive one. I think Palace are only 4 points ahead of us, so we could easily drag them into the fight. By the time it's April 15th, where we play them, they could easily be in the relegation battle. So we got a bunch of winnable games coming up that are absolutely crucial to win, not just for us to gain points, but to take points off other clubs. So it's absolutely huge. But yeah, that's my review of the game. I'll be honest, I really want to improve these, so I am going to be trying to make them a lot more entertaining and better and more in depth. I'm going to try and talk about systems, formations, who I thought should have played, shouldn't have played, how I thought they played individually and stuff like that. But this week I streamed for fucking 5.5 hours like an idiot, so I didn't really particularly have time to set up this whole setup how I wanted to do it. So by the time the West Ham game comes around, should be good. But anyway, like, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys for, FIFA streams if you join, but then I'll see you for the watch along in like 2 weeks' time. Bye, I guess.